Welcome to our second video about breathing, about the air module. So we've been through the earth module, now we're solidly in the air module, moving through the elements. And what we're doing now is we're going to try and master the breath. And of course, you have already mastered the breath, like I was saying in the last video. You know how to breathe. You've survived this long. But now we are working on a slightly different way of thinking about it as a singer, because we're putting a little extra oomph, a little extra power behind it than we would normally if we're speaking. We're also on the spiritual side of it because we are technical and spiritual beings. We are learning how to honor your body and what it already knows how to do, and honor your intuition, because we all have an intuition, regardless of if you think of yourself as an intuitive being, especially or not. We all have a kind of a knowing when something is too much, when something is not enough. We kind of have that connection with our bodies and our mind that we just, when the line happens. So I want you to kind of start to get in tune with that as well, just as a human in a body. So we're thinking about how the breath works, but it can be really easy to overthink it. So I just want you to take a step back and make sure that you are trusting yourself and trusting your body. And when you know that something feels off, don't do it anymore. Let me know. We can have a chat about it and see if we can find a different way to find some new perspective about how you think about the breath. So real quick review, if you can sit up. I know I talked about this last video, but the more I can have you feel it, the better. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back, relax the jaw, nice open mouth breathing, right? So we're not sucking in through the straw of the nose. We're just nice, easy, open mouth breathing. And above all, we're allowing for ease, right? And you're thinking about the low belly, relaxing those low belly muscles as much as you can, finding that relaxation in those muscles so that the organs can expand outwards. This is where the belly expansion comes from. But in reality, what we're doing is we're just creating space for that air to flow in. We're sending the air lower into the lungs than we normally do. On our normal everyday, when you just wake up, you're breathing pretty shallow into your lungs. But as a singer, we want to practice sending that air lower, getting a little bit fuller, just so we can have that expansion so that there's room to compress into a bigger sound. But right now, I just want you to think of your belly breath as you're creating space underneath your rib cage. So that whole space down there, you're relaxing your low belly muscles. And you feel that lung capacity start to push downwards a little bit. If you want to put a hand right underneath your ribs, you can feel it. On your inhale, you can feel the diaphragm kind of move down. And your belly expands just a little. Doesn't have to be huge, but your belly expands just a little bit. And then on your exhale, it's another release, but a release from being full of air. You're just releasing, the belly naturally contracts, the diaphragm naturally comes back up. It's a thing that your body knows how to do, and it's a passive system. We're just getting out of the way of it, right? We're going to make it active in a little bit when we do these exercises and start singing. But right now, I just want you to feel the release of the inhale, because that's so important. So often we try and make inhaling a hugely active thing, but I want you to think of it as a release, and the exhale is a release from your inhale. So this is a really good way of looking at it, a way of seeing how the lungs and the diaphragm kind of work together. If you think about where that blue arrow is, it's not just a space, there's your organs underneath. And there's your heart is behind the lungs too. So there's a lot of things moving with this movement, not just the lungs and the diaphragm. So I want you to kind of think about your whole body as a part of this process. It's kind of nice to just breathe with that for a moment too. And this visualizer, once again, let's just spend a couple moments here feeling into breathing very consistently with this So you're inhaling, separating your belly muscles from your diaphragm. And you're exhaling, let it all contract just naturally. You're not pushing. Good. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Let's do a couple more. Nice, easy. You don't have to make any noise. Ideally, you'd be so open that there wouldn't be much noise happening. You're just creating space, not just down here, but all the way up through the tube. You're so open that the air just appears on the inside. Good, one more. Beautiful. So, finding that ease and consistent flow and the release on both ends is the thing that I want you to focus on. We're just focusing on releasing. We're not forcing anything. Yes? So, thinking about the anatomy of your breath, there's a lot more involved than just your lungs and your diaphragm, like I was saying. Like, you have the diaphragm, which hangs out connected to the bottom ribs here. And what it's doing is not just helping your lungs do its thing, it's also helping regulate the flow that your lungs are feeling. So yes, it's helping with the exhale, but it's also making it so that you're not just releasing all that air in a millisecond, right? So the diaphragm is contracting so that you're not just going, right? And all that air comes out. It's that natural compression that you know how to do when I tell you breathe out slowly through a straw. You should feel that diaphragm kind of naturally contract. You're not doing that, you're not isolating that movement because we don't connect to the diaphragm in that way, but just the whole process of slowing down your airflow, the diaphragm gets involved and it contracts. So as we inhale, you can see here, your diaphragm contracts down and your ribs may expand a little bit and your lungs expand downwards. Your lungs get bigger, both downwards and forwards. They expand in both directions. That's why there's these arrows here. So you can feel into that kind of fullness. Again, it doesn't have to be 100%. We're just thinking 40% full, maybe 50 at the very top. And then on your exhale, your lungs contract upwards. They get smaller upwards because they're hanging like balloons hanging. And then the diaphragm relaxes, but it doesn't relax all at once. It relaxes in a controlled, slow kind of a way, as long as you're not doing a big sigh real quick, right? As long as you're not going, then the diaphragm relaxes pretty quickly. But as you're singing and doing these exercises that we're about to do, it relaxes pretty slowly. But it's helping control that outflow of air. So hopefully this helps. I have a couple other diagrams that I like to show. I have a video on anatomy that I will show you later on, but this is really, I think, a super cool view of the diaphragm. If you can see, I'll stop sharing for a moment. So we have, this is the diaphragm. This is from a book called Anatomy of the Voice. It's super cool. I recommend it. Lungs are here. Heart is in there. Your diaphragm is this very strong muscle right on top of your liver, and these are all your abdominal organs. So when you're releasing those lower belly muscles, these organs go down and out. And this diaphragm comes down into this space right here. And I think maybe not on this page, but on the next one, you can see exactly what the diaphragm is doing. So it looks kind of like this. If this stuff grosses you out, fast forward a little bit. But it's really cool to see what's happening on the inside, I think. There are tendons on the top that contract to help you control that outflow of air that I was talking about. So it's just kind of like this big top of a hot air balloon kind of a thing that hangs out right above your abdominal organs and right below your lungs. So that's kind of what it looks like. And if that weirds you out and it makes you overthink to think about that, then don't worry about it. But really, what I want you to take away from this is it can be easier than you think it needs to be to breathe for singing, because all of these systems are doing their thing in a way that they've been doing your entire life. Okay, so breathing exercises. We're just going to do a couple of these and I'll give you a couple to do as homework. So we did the extended S the other day in our live session, but we'll start with something called box breath. And if you've ever done meditation, you've probably done this. And so I want you to, I keep forgetting to add the extra hold at the end here. So there's an extra hold after the exhale as well. So we're going to inhale for 8, and then we're going to hold your breath in for 8, and then we're going to exhale for 8, and then we're going to hold your breath in for 8. Hold your breath out, I guess. And so let's start nice and easy, and I'm going to count pretty fast. And I want you to just feel this system that I just explained. You're just relaxing your belly muscles, letting the diaphragm come down, filling up that space, 3D space underneath your ribs, and then you're releasing it. So let's do a couple. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold out, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Come back to your normal breathing. Good. So that's a really good way to train your body to inhale and exhale and hold on command if you're not used to doing that. It's a good way to calm down your nervous system actually as well. That's why they use it for meditation a lot of times, because extending your exhale longer than your inhale is really good for your vagus nerve and reminds your body that you are safe, so that you're not giving your body the evidence that you are running away from something by breathing super fast. So that's a really good one to just do when you're sitting on the couch, when you're driving, just as long as you don't do it too long that you're hyperventilating or hypoventilating. Just keep an eye. If you get lightheaded, just stop. Please and thank you. So this next one, we're going to do an extended S or an SH sound, whichever feels best for you. Let's start with an S. So we're just going to take that nice big belly breath, and we're going to do an S sound, petering out all that air in a consistent airstream all the way until the end of your breath. So let's try it. So sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back, nice belly breaths, inhale. Good. Don't worry if your breath is not as long or longer than mine. It's okay. We all have very different bodies. So we're going to do the SH now. Same thing. Inhale, belly breath. Good. And the idea is that we want a consistent, steady airflow the whole time. We don't want it to be like so we want to train that compression to keep that speed of airflow consistent the whole time. So if that felt a little wobbly, go back a little bit, go back a couple minutes and do that again, whichever one feels best for you. Pause the video and do the one that feels like you need to do it the most. Some people really gravitate towards S or SH, it doesn't matter to me. But I do want you to think about keeping that steady, consistent airflow all the way to the end of your breath. If you feel the breath start to wane, just cut it off, just end right there. Let's do the next one. So we're going to do a quick shh, which is pretty much just 4 fast beats of an SH, and then the rest of your breath out. So it's going to look like this. Belly breath. Okay, let's do it together. Ready? Inhale. Good. And remember, cut off before you get desperate. Now we're going to do 8 quick pulses. And ideally, you want to be able to feel your diaphragm moving with each one of these. Your abs are helping you with these. If you feel like you're pushing from here, it would feel more like shh, 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 shh. We don't necessarily want that. We want your abs and your belly breathing to be the ones doing the work for you here. So if you want, you can put your hand right in the little triangle underneath where your ribs, bottom ribs come up. That's where your diaphragm hangs out most of the time. And when you're inhaling, you can feel it come down. And then when you're exhaling, you can feel it come up. So ideally, you want to get to a place where you're going to feel a little bit of an inward and upward motion as you're doing these. Okay, ready? Let's do 8. Inhale. Good. If you like that and you want to keep going, pause the video, do 5 more. I think it's super good for us to practice with just the airflow because it feels like way less pressure than when we're singing. So we're about to go into making some noise. So if you want to redo any of those, now's a good time to pause the video. So we're going to make some noise now. And we're going to do, I'll just pick a note, and whatever that feels like it is in your voice, it's fine. So we're going to do the same thing, but the long part after the quick beats are going to be in ah. Instead, you're just going to go straight into singing. The thing is, I want you to feel like that airflow is still consistent, even though you're singing now instead of just releasing air. So it's going to sound like this. We're going to do 4 first. Ah. So it doesn't have to be a whole lot. We're just taking a little bit of liberty and finding a note and leaning into that airflow, just like you did when you were just still on the SH. Okay, so now let's do 8 SHs and then an ah. Ready? Ah. Good. How did that feel? If you felt a little wobbly, if you felt a little bit of jerkiness with the speed of the air, go back and do it again. Let's do one more time with 8. Ah. So you're just releasing until you're done and then cutting it off. Good. So one more. We're going to do a ha 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 ha. And I just demonstrated the wrong way to do it because that was all in my throat. It was just ha 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 ha. There was no real airflow happening. It was just very much articulated in here. So what we want is to bring it back into that diaphragm. We're gonna do like a belly laugh, right? Like you just heard something super funny. Ha, ha, right? You can put your hand right underneath your ribs and feel that diaphragm movement. Ha, 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 right? Should go up, 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 in. So we want to do that same thing, but instead of the quick shushes, we're going to do ha. So we're going to do 4 ha's and then lean into that note. Okay, so it's going to sound like this. Ha, 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 ha. Good. And I would like you to go all the way to the end of your breath. not to like the parts where it's wispy and there's nothing left, and right before that. So let's do it again. 4 ha's and then all the way to the end. Ready? Ha 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 ha. Good. Now let's do 8. So it's going to take a little more breath, so your long one might not be as long, and that's totally okay. But I really want you to feel into the belly laugh of this. Okay, ready? Ha 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 ha. Good. Last time, one more time. Feel your whole body doing the breathing and the singing with you. Okay, ready? Ha 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 ha. Good. Doesn't have to be super loud. Just as long as you're feeling the belly working, you're feeling those ab muscles engage a little bit on the outer obliques. That's what we want. So this is kind of how I want you to start thinking about your breath. And I have one homework assignment for you. I would love for you to video this and post it in the group. Again, unlisted YouTube links are great. Dropbox links, super fine. Google Drive, whatever works for you. Try to tell a story with a full belly breath in between phrases. And by full, again, I don't mean 100%. I want you to be going and fill all the way up, because that's just unnecessary and so much extra work, right? But the belly release is what I want you to think about. So as I'm talking, sometimes I get really excited and I forget to take a breath, and I'm only running on very little fuel. So what I'm demonstrating right now is a weird thing to do for most of us, because we tend to just speak and speak and speak until we're out of breath. But I'm making a concerted effort to talk with an actual released belly breath in between each of my phrases. And it may feel like there's an awkward silence in there, but it's actually really nice because I feel the rest of my sentence is fully fueled. I'm not ever overusing my voice because the air is doing that work for me. And bonus, it gives me a little extra time to think about what I'm about to say. So there's less ums and uhs. And it gives your partner, the conversation partner, a little bit of a chance to process what you just said. And my voice feels great after doing that. So I know we get really excited when we're telling stories, but I really want you to think about how you're mechanically telling the story. So I want you to tell a 30-second story and video yourself and tell us how your voice felt after. So you can video the story and then tell us your comments, or you can video the story and then put your how it affected you in the comments via text on the group. So let us know what you thought. And this is a very interesting assignment, especially for those of us that don't think about our breath very often, or get really nervous and excited when we're talking about something we really like. Again, it doesn't have to be a story, it doesn't have to be a true story. You can tell me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich if you want. But the idea is to use the breath more as fuel and to find those moments where you could maybe take in a little extra air just by releasing, by the practice that we were talking about. So happy breathing. Enjoy. Let me know how it goes.